United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item is oath of office for newly re-elected trustees. So Bernie, you're up. You have your spiel?
Want to move it to later in case no one
say
maybe
it out
comes in?
loud.
Well, I'll do hers
have to
as
read
well,
it out
here,
loud.
but
Okay.
now he'll be officially.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Sorry.
Official again. All right. I, Bernard Barone, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of the trustee for the Goshen Public Library and Historical Society according to the best of my ability. And I do further solemnly swear that I have not, directly or indirectly, paid, offered, or promised to pay, contributed or offered, or promised to contribute any money to other valuable thing as a consideration or reward for the giving or withholding a vote at the election at which I was elected to said office, and have not made any promise to influence the giving or withholding any such votes.
Well said.
No, you just have to.
Oh, I said, I guess.
Welcome.
So, I swear before me this 8th day?
Ninth
day? Before the 9th day of, thank you, of May 2011.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Welcome aboard.
Again. This time it's a longer term, I just wanted to throw that out for you. As soon as she comes, we'll do it. I haven't heard anything, so.
Was that reorganization?
It was in the summer, so if you would, no, when did you come aboard?
I started just after.
Okay.
No present?
Nobody's here, but I would like to say for privilege of the floor that I'm giving Frank Walter an excused absence due to medical situation. Approval of minutes from April 11th. Do I have a second? Jim
Second.
and Norma, all in favor? Opposed?
Who was first?
Jim and then Norma.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Treasurer McNair?
Good evening, everybody. We have the April year-to-date report in front of us. I added an extra column on the profit and loss report, the revenue and expense report on the right that has, as discussed last month, percentage of the budget where the actual numbers are, that last column. So just to make it another way of seeing where we're at. Like for example, the property taxes in April we received the final 10%. So now you can see the budget equals the actual 1,151,769. So it's 100% right. So that's basically how that's set up.
Sounds like there's a phone ringing.
Outside.
Outside.
And also, during the month of April, Matt and I made that change to the salaries line that we discussed last month, coming from the retirement line that was under by that 8,000. So now the salaries year to date are virtually, you can see 99.9, it's slightly under 522,069 to 522,093. I'm sorry. Yeah, hopefully for May and June, there'll be, the last couple of checks have been pretty much right on, I think slightly under. So for the year, we'll probably be within a couple thousand up or down.
So when it says percent of budget, percent of budget prorated.
Yes. Right. From where we are, for that first one for the taxes, it just so happened that since at the end of April was the full amount for the year, that's why it's 100%. But the others, it's, prorated, like the percentage of where we're at for the year.
So in other words, the salaries, it says we're 99.98%. We haven't spent 99.98% of our salary money.
We've spent 99.98% of the year to date where we should be at for the budget. That's kind of how it calculates it. Right.
So assuming that the expenses for these various columns come in a straight line, so to speak.
Right on, yeah.
Then
It would
that's
be
a-
100%, right. Absolutely.
So that comes into, are you done with the report? Because we should ask questions after he's done? Or are you done?
When
No,
we
we
did
changed
it
that
along
last
last
time.
time, he
Budget
was
change.
just the one we can't interrupt, but we can go ahead
We
and
can
walk all
interrupt
over
you.
Jack apparently.
So that's not fair.
It only makes sense that if we're gonna talk about it, to do it at the time where it's going.
It
Right.
does.
So that just comes into play where if we have part of the budget front-loaded for a particular line item, that'll accurately reflect throughout the year as under 100% or to that effect, because
I think it's taking the percentage, if we had it front-loaded, it would know that we already have the 100% out there, so then it would assume we were at 100% of the budget, and then it would take what we actually spent and compared it to the 100%.
It's actual over budget.
Right, yeah,
Right.
exactly. Right, exactly.
Or under.
Or under.
Or under.
Yeah, so if it's below 100, then
Not
we're
over, I mean, you know,
divided
divided
by. Right. Yeah, that's why the salaries, it's 99.98, because we're slightly
right at.
right. So maybe worst case scenarios will be like 100.5 or something at the end if we were slightly over.
Or 237.36.
Right.
Which sounds a lot worse than only $500.
Yes, right.
When
right.
you do the averages and percentage.
No, I just had to clarify, for example, that salaries line, total salaries and wages line, going from the left side all the way across to the right side, is there anywhere on that line that it mentions the amount of money that we have in our budget for the year?
Remaining?
No, just what the budget was for the year.
No. We don't have a column showing the whole year. We could, but then, it's harder and harder to fit it all on, but we could have a
Seems like-
column that shows the whole year budget.
I don't know, these percents that you have in the last column, the new column, to me, in a sense, are misleading, but, I mean, in the sense that it's only the percent as of this date that we've used that was allocated on a straight line basis. I mean, there's so many qualifications with it that it seems like it's
Mhm.
almost, you would think somewhere, looking at a budget would be the number that we have in that category for the year. That would appear somewhere.
well,
you would
we
think.
do have that, that's the budget
Where-
column, no?
Where is it? Show me.
The budget column.
No, that's not it.
But
Is it
that's
that-
year to date.
Then correct,
That's year to date. Good. In other words, see this number right here, the 522?
yeah,
That's not the amount in that line for the
well,
year.
that's, okay, I assume that was actual.
That's the,
I assume like July 10th through April 11th, that is the actual, and the next column, the budget, is what was budgeted, and
not for the
the whole
year
year.
though.
For the same corresponding months.
Should be.
July through
Yeah,
April.
that's my question. It's not the amount for the year, it's the amount that was budgeted, prorated for, was it 10 months or something?
Right, 10 months.
really,
Mm-hmm.
so you don't have the total budget amount.
No.
I think I'd like to, at some point, and I realize we're gonna into issues of space.
I think we could squeeze one more column
Well, if you could, I'd like to see the budgeted, just,
for the whole year.
how much did we put in that line for the year?
Well, would it make,
Right.
do you like the percent, or would you rather have the percent represented by
year.
the budget?
Or-
In other words,
Well,
if
My thinking was that the percentage of actual over budgeted amount, budgeted for the whole year,
right,
and actual up to that date, shows you how you're progressing on the budget.
Mm-hmm.
Say at the 6-month mark, you should see a 50%.
Yeah,
right,
Hopefully you
not like
see
a
a
95,
50%.
right,
So you see a 60%, you make,
adjustments.
pull the brakes, you put foot on the brakes, just tap the brakes, and
But that,
I don't know.
but that would still be percentage. So would it be better to have the last
Total
column
budget.
reflect percentage of total budget instead of?
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a more interesting percent to me,
Yeah.
is the percent of total budget and then the total budget. So, yeah, we're gonna have to do some little gymnastics in our head over,
Yeah.
but nevertheless,
All that could be done, it's just a
Yeah.
question of how we want to present
Right.
it. This was just taking the year-to-date percentage.
right.
This way we know where we stand for the entire year every time we look at that percentage.
Right. And when we get to June, it would be the last month, so
Right.
it would just be, year-to-date would be the whole thing.
Right, because
Right.
then we're starting new.
Right. Okay, we'll add that in for the next month.
Well, is it add in, is it replace?
Are we keep, yeah,
We're gonna
do we
replace.
need to keep the
I could,
current, the
you
current
want me to
percentage
try and
column?
fit one
Well,
more
that's what
column?
No,
That's what I was
I-
asking Jim, but he likes the percentage column, right?
We like the percentage column, but the actual over budget, yearly
The
budget
percent
amount,
should be,
ongoing,
what we're saying,
actual.
and I'm not 100% sure I agree, but I think I agree. We're saying that the percentage budget should, the percent line or column should indicate the percent of the total budget used.
Year.
right.
Right,
So at this point, we would see,
Well, we're about to start
So-
new.
So the last three lines, the last three columns rather, what currently is budget should really be year-to-date budget, YTD budget.
Yeah.
Then the second column, that should say total budget, or yeah, total budget. And then the last column can be the percentage of total budget.
right. I could change that, I could just run it instead of July through April, I could run it July through June, and then I'll have your year-to-date, which will be, implied through April, but the budget will have for the whole year, and then the percentage would be for the whole year. So it's just either way, whatever way we wanted to look at it, so,
Well,
but
we
that's
know where
easy.
let's
we
try
have
it
a
that
handle
way
on
and see
it.
if
Try it
that's
that
clear
way.
to people.
Okay. And as far as the rest, we caught up a little bit on books in the month. We're up to March now, but I would say that when we add in all the books, there's probably another 10,000 worth of books probably hanging out there for March and April.
That we have to pay?
That we have to pay. So it's not under as much as it looks. Maybe not quite 10,000, but there's a good amount out there.
We're gonna be over budget then?
Probably gonna be right on. Before the end of the year, even if I don't get them all entered, I'll at least run a tab to see how much is actually out there. Because that's, like I always say, the most time-consuming part is the books, because there's packing slips and boxes and everything.
And
But-
that's all books, not
All
just
books.
that's adults and children,
Right.
everything, okay.
Yep, all of them. There's probably 7,000-8,000 worth. But this whole, and also, at the bottom of the report, I changed the loan. I think we finally got this out, hopefully how you guys wanted to see it. I put loan, interest / principal, and then the whole thing, 8,679.01 paid, 8,679.01 budgeted. So then the payment equals what we had budgeted. And then you see it equals 100% at the end. So when you add all that up, our expenditures year-to-date are 966,852, and the budgeted expenditures are 1,113,663. So we're like 46,810 under. But then if you add back in the books that have to be entered, we're really more like,
Are these numbers right? I'm just,
yeah, that's the year-to-date loan on that.
on this one?
Yeah, the 86. That's 10 times the,
Okay.
right. But you see on that, we're like 46 under on the whole thing. But if you add back in the books to be paid, the 46 is less. And then if you added back the retirement that we know we got that 8,000, that's a break. So really, we're running like 30,000 under budget if you take in those two one-time
And we
things.
still have May and June to get through.
Right. So we'll probably be end the year slightly under
Official
budget.
just to worry about, so.
Right. So we'll probably end the year slightly under budget, but not as much as it had looked when we were showing the loan, just the interest amount.
Yes.
But technically, the principal is really not an expense. That's why I called it, loan interest /
Right,
principal.
we talked about that line.
Right. So I think this shows it the most clear picture that we're under, but not as much under as it had been thought the other way. So,
Much better.
okay.
Looks good.
Okay.
Any other questions? What about the balance sheet?
Oh, yeah, right. I almost forgot. Thanks for, I saw that night. The loan is down to 342,842 as of early May. On this report, it's, 349. So it keeps going down like 7,000 per month.
Did you say that amount again, please, Chuck?
342,842.15 after the May payment. So one more after that. Because this,
342, 842.15.
right, which is the most up-to-date after the May payment, after May 2nd. On this report, it was a 349, because that didn't include the May payment yet. So we're getting closer to the halfway point, the 300,000. And we have on the balance sheet 126,000 left in the key checking and 359 in the Orange County. And that includes the most recent, the April, we got the last 10% tax revenue check, the 115. So before the end of the year, we're definitely gonna have to move some of the money from the Orange County Trust to the key, but we'll have, a significant left in the Orange County Trust. And then we'll end the year with whatever going forward, and then the next meeting or so we could decide into thinking about the TAN over the summer, if and how much we, might need to make it through.
You'll have
September.
3 different scenarios for us
Yeah.
to, okay.
Same as last year, the high, low, and medium number.
So what was the question, Liz?
He usually gives a scenario of how much to borrow, where it would put us by the end of the year, what he thinks our bare bone minimum is, and then to have a little leeway.
Okay.
You gave us 3 numbers last time, right?
Mhm. And I think you chose the middle number,
I
right?
think
Yeah.
so.
I have one question. When you have money in a bank, the percentage of return, the rate, is based upon the amount you put in. So in other words, if you have like $5,000 and then you get
Right.
maybe 1%, and you have 25,000, they give you 1.5, and so on, this type of thing. It seems like by having our money in 2 different places, we're losing an opportunity to get to a new plateau and to a higher interest rate. So if you could inquire with Key and with Orange, what are their rates, and then what are the plateaus where we hit those higher rates?
The higher rates,
It
okay.
might serve us well to, instead of moving money from one to the other and splitting
Mhm.
it, just put it all in one pot and get the higher rate, whichever bank has the higher rate.
Okay.
But
And
do
let
we have-
them know, also, I'd let them know that you're considering this, because they may make it even higher just to keep it,
Right.
or to get it.
But do we
Sure.
always have a big enough fund for that to happen?
Well, I don't know what, how close we are
Sometimes
to
this
the
is down to
pot.
50,000, sometimes it's down to 1,000 at one time. So I
It's-
don't know how long we
Well,
actually
what's the
keep this
largest
amount of money in.
amount in Key, when you transfer money to Key normally, what?
No more than
size
a
of-
100. Key is in kind of high now for this month because we received that 115, and we just put the whole thing in Key because before that the Key was getting down to like 8,000 or 9,000, so it was getting low. So we just put the whole thing in. When we had gotten the bigger tax check last time, I think we put it all in Orange County because it was a significant amount, and then we just pulled when we needed it. Because the Orange County one, I believe, up until now was paying a better rate than Key. But I'll look into that again as well. But yeah, Key is kind of inflated now because that one big
Right.
check went in, and
Because usually
Oh.
it varies, so I don't know, what
Right.
that would do for,
we just don't want to cut it so
That's the
low that
interest
it's
rate.
down to like 10,000, and then we have a payroll coming up, and
right,
and then if it takes a couple days when we deposit for it to be available.
right.
But I'll inquire on that.
Any other questions on the treasurer's report? Do I have a motion to accept? Norma, do I have a second? Bernie, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Committee reports? That would be Jim, I guess. We're all looking at you.
Which committee is this you're referring
I
to?
don't know.
Carol, I thought
Nobody's
might
really.
be, what it basically is sort of a catch-all for if you want to talk about the Friends.
Oh, that's-
Or if some other committee come, but it
Committee.
gives you an opportunity to kind of bring us up to speed.
I'm fighting a cold, so I'm operating on like 50%. Let's see, Historical Committee is, which is a part of Friends, is very, very active, planning an event to take place sometime in September. It's modeled after the Antiques Roadshow, but we don't want to use that name because we don't want to get sued. So we're going to call it something like the Goshen Appraisal Event or something. It's not very catchy, but
The Antiquities of Goshen.
yes, the Antiquities of Goshen. That'll be the board, maybe.
Oh!
Present company accepted.
We just got the.
Why?
Yeah, put it all out there. We got nothing to hide.
But we plan on having several appraisers, and people would pay, I think, $5 to bring in an item. If it's a very large item, they can bring in a photograph. And some of the people will be asked to have the appraisal take place in front of the quote audience that's there, so they can enjoy the history of the piece and what it's valued at, so on. And sell food and sell some of the things that we have, the books and brochures and things that we have. And basically, we think it'd just be a fun evening, similar to the Maiden Goshen event we had a year ago, which everybody seemed to like a great deal. And we have the big band concert combined with the ice cream social coming up in July. I think it's the 23rd, but don't quote me on that. Norton and Christensen again are funding the big band, and as a matter of fact, they, on their own volition, increased their donation because they felt it was the right thing to do. I'm trying to think of some of the other events taking place. I guess maybe you've seen, I guess in your report you mentioned that the Friends purchased wood, and Jim Levy made 2 absolutely gorgeous bookcases that are upstairs. Just really solid hardwood, not this composition stuff that you see. He's a real craftsman. What are some of the other things?
A podium was mentioned?
Oh, there's purchasing a podium, because there apparently seems to be a need, and they previously purchased lights that were used at one of the plays and will be used for other events in the future. So a lot of things happening.
And those are all part of the 100-year celebration?
It's connected with the 100-year.
Okay, good.
Oh, the children's writing contest, I guess I should mention. There've been, what, low 20s?
I'd say, yeah.
Yeah, about 20 to 25 submissions of short stories and poems by students, and they will be judged, and the winning works will be published in the Indie. So we're looking forward to that coming to a conclusion.
So your book sales.
Book sale
Coming up.
at
Oh,
the Great
yeah,
American
Farmers
Weekend,
Market.
plus the Farmers Market that starts at the end of, it's the last Friday of each month. So we have one coming up this month.
And I keep getting people coming wanting to donate books, and I've had to turn a couple away because the shed is absolutely packed. I mean, if we delete stuff, discard stuff that it's saleable, we'll keep it in downstairs in the basement for the time being. But
We need to maybe talk to Danny about an area
Finding
outside
some
for
some
another
other space.
shed, because
Yeah.
it's a great missed opportunity.
Yeah, it's terrible
And
to
the
have to
money all
turn
ends
away.
up going to Friends and then comes to the
Sure.
library, so.
Do you guys still sort the shed?
Yeah, there was a shed sorting.
Say that 3 times fast. Seashells.
Saturday
About a week
shed
ago.
sorting.
Yeah, I don't know how it went. I actually went to Sam's Club today. The Friends want to buy 4 tables like this that are, well, this is maybe not a good example. They're lightweight. This might be a good example. I'm not sure how heavy this is. Because some of the
Sort it by
tables are
yourself.
very, very heavy, and we move them back and forth. And the 6-foot tables were sold out, so I didn't buy anything. But we're going to buy 4 tables.
I have to say, I'm really impressed with the Friends, with their organization and their determination and their dedication. They really are rolling along. I mean, half the time I can't keep up with their plans, what they're doing, what they're giving us, what they're, it's just,
Wow.
every time I leave one of those meetings, they're asking me to look for more stuff we might need, wish lists, and I literally can't have a hard time keeping up.
Yeah.
Can't keep up with that many people?
So what happened? Is it just Jim's leadership and getting that
I'm
back
actually not
together
a
and
leader
thriving?
in the sense that we have, there are officers. I'm not an officer because I'm, on the board, but I've been helping with the membership. We have about 100 people now.
Wow.
And
Well, it wasn't so long ago. You had what? Nobody.
there was nobody.
Which is-
Was
So,
that 1 year
gosh,
ago or
you
2
did a
years
great
ago?
job.
Probably last year.
Yeah.
I think it was January of last
Indirectly
year.
or not.
Yeah, so we've been very fortunate. And a lot of people, were asked to get involved, and they got involved, and this sort of snowballed.
Great.
So
Should we do anything to acknowledge the Friends as a board of trustees and thank them? Maybe send them a letter or to the officers of the Friends?
Yeah,
thanking
we
them
could
for
have the
their-
Sunshine Committee send a letter of thanks for all their hard work.
that'd be appreciated, I'm sure. It would be addressed to Laura Engel.
Mm.
Sunshine Committee.
It could be, actually, it doesn't need to be the Sunshine Committee, just a letter from the board would be.
I know.
Okay,
would be your
yeah, I'll do
signature.
it.
Buds are
Yeah.
up. My buds are out.
Thank you
Do
for
you want me to,
Friends,
You are.
etc. I don't know what to.
Should have said it before
we
the
don't want
meeting.
people to talk about you.
Me.
The
Okay.
lone wolf.
Any other
Almost
committee?
fine.
That was the only thing I'm aware of.
Great. Matt, you're up.
I'm up. Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Matt.
As I'm sure you're all probably aware, the vote and election was on Wednesday, April 13th. The budget passed 115-48. And as we've already mentioned, trustees Ellen Mary O'Brien and Bernard Marone were re-elected. Congratulations. The bulk of my report was about what the Friends are doing for us, which Jim stole my thunder there, but that's good. Eleanor, right? Eleanor
Yeah,
got a
that's
license
great.
deal.
That's
Fantastic.
huge. She gonna have a signing?
I'm sure she will. when
She
it comes to
should.
Author,
elections.
author.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
our very own.
that's right. And we wanted to pay her $5,000 to come.
I mean, apparently she's
That's how much
published
they
before
cost,
in,
these authors.
in magazines, you know. But this is the first. I mean, this is the first book. So I'm really excited.
That's great.
And let's see.
No more
Yes,
Sundays.
Oh, Sundays, right? That's right. Carol reminded me. Summer hours begin. So the 22nd of May will be the last Sunday we're open until fall.
Wow.
That's it.
Unless we need to open
Can,
for
why do we do that?
just fairly quiet time away, you know.
During the
It's
summer when
just,
kids are
yeah,
off, they
kinda
don't come
peters
here
out.
more than
Not
when they're
this
going to
Sunday,
school.
yeah.
Save money, basically. Because we don't have to staff it.
And air conditioning and stuff.
But you could ask,
Okay,
I guess
just
the
wondered.
question could be asked, is the amount of money that we're saving justified for the inconvenience for some of our patrons who come on Sunday? I don't know what the
Mhm.
numbers are on Sunday.
Yeah, we haven't counted in a while.
Before, when we were open, you know, on
Mhm.
Sundays, we would get like 6 people,
Oh, okay.
It is pretty
Yeah, it's
quiet.
Very.
quiet.
very, so,
Mhm.
unbelievable. So they had just decided
Mhm.
that for budgetary reasons, it wasn't necessary.
Is there a sign that goes out on the door explaining that,
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
warn people? some-
Yeah, the new
yeah,
summer
the
hours.
time
Stock up on Saturday.
winter and
Take down
summer.
the winter
hours.
and put up
Yeah.
summer.
Marks are created each season so that people are handed them
Right.
as well, and it's on our website.
What time is the breakfast on the 20th?
8:30.
8:30.
Yeah, if we were
I'm
ever to
not
increase
working.
hours, I would say for Friday evening another couple hours if we ever wanted to. I'm not, you know, if we ever had the money, but that's the time that we often
Busy.
turn people away because they assume we're open till 8, come at 6 o'clock on the dot, but Sundays are closed down. Yes, the staff and volunteer appreciation breakfast, and we had thought early on about also inviting the friends, but the numbers, we discussed it with some key friends and thought maybe it would be better to just keep it staff and volunteer for now, because we really have a hard time gauging how many people would show up, and but you're all, of course, invited on the 20th at 8:30 in the morning, Friday, because they don't open until 10, so that gives us some time. We did receive the final way on to check today, I think, for
Yep.
$990. Those were the stragglers left over from the contract with Town of Wayon. As far as I know, they still haven't found a contract with anyone else. So we're going to,
Mm.
sure, have some unhappy Wayonders coming through as their card expires. But what they probably would need to do is pull together and figure out how to get their own library.
They get told when they come in to check out a book that their card is expired, or do they get something in the mail
They just find out it's
when
expired.
they show up?
Yeah.
Surprise.
Right.
Okay.
Let's see. Summer edition of the newsletter is just
Yeah,
underway.
Just following that, how hard would it be for the computer to spit out that
I
list?
don't know if we have a collection. I mean, I'll have to ask Linda if there's a way to get a list of. I'm not sure whether they have a different designation. I know that we have a physical. She had an actual star puncher for their cards, so we would know.
Right.
You know, we can tell who's who. But I'm not sure. I'll have to check whether we have
It's coded.
them coded or not. If so, I could see about how. There's not many that you would need letters, but I could see.
Or
I'll check with-
postcards even.
Yeah.
Or email. They have an email.
Or-
address.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
they could give us an email.
Yeah, I'll check with Linda. Can't recall. I did get, forgot to mention this, we're still working toward letting the Arcadia, is that it, or Arcadia Hills people know?
Arcadia.
It's moving slowly, but we did contact the Board of Elections, and we, with the information we supplied them, they gave us a list of about 285 houses. So what's left? What's left is I've called Chester a couple times, but we've been missing the director. I just want to make sure everyone's. I don't, want to make an enemy out of Chester because these people, this sort of orphan group, there's not enough of them to have their own library. So they really are in a pickle. And they've been lucky enough, when sort of flusher years to be able to use both Chester and Goshen. So what's going to happen, of course, is when we send our letters out, they're going to go to Chester. Chester's going to have to decide whether they want to take them or not. I talked to Robert Hubsher, who said he would help me with the letter. I was hoping it'd just be some kind of boilerplate thing I could fill out and fill in Goshen Public Library. But do you remember all this? These are the people
They're
that
paying
don't have.
Chester school taxes, and that's why.
Yeah. Chester's
But
library.
town-
And the
So-
town will not
Right.
collect for
Yes,
us.
exactly.
They want nothing to do
Right.
with us. Right. No,
So now it's just a matter of moving, kind of gingerly, just so I make sure that everybody's. I mean, 285 sounds like a lot. I think it's a small margin of that actually have cards here. And again, that was the reason I bring that up is because we had no way of doing it in our. There's no code for them, so we have to just do a blanket to everybody in that zone. They're gonna get a letter eventually. Hopefully, maybe this month I'll be able to get it out. Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, it makes perfect sense in terms of funding. It's just move sort of tenderly with it because it's bound to cause a little bit of friction with Chester if they, But so let's see. What could, the newsletter. I still would like to meet with. At some point, I'm going to talk to Michelle tomorrow and try to get some dates. They'll be Friday mornings. They have a board member, a trustee, and someone from the Friends to come to talk about the newsletter, its scope, the philosophy behind it, what we want to do with it. I mean, patrons have given us lots of positive feedback about it. Sometimes I hear from a friend or from a board member something they wish that would be included or would be left out, or more room, or different color scheme, or whatever. And it'd be nice to have representative from each, including actually Ken DeSham, so that we can kind of look toward where we would like to go with it. Michelle and I have thought over the last couple of years that we would. This I remember when I brought this up last time. Nobody was happy with the idea, but thinking about saving some money and putting more money toward some other places where we need it. The web page being one, by having at least some of the newsletters be electronic, and but definitely the spring newsletter being a physical, regular newsletter, because that's the one that has to hit every household. That's the one that has the voting information. I mean, we're juggling these ideas. I just think it would be helpful for Michelle and I to have sort of just to more information from above, basically, as to what you guys want to see with the newsletter.
That'd be nice.
Just so we can get some kind of all pulling in the same sort of
All right
direction.
with me. Yeah, that'd be good.
How many newsletters go out?
4.
No, how many quantity wise?
7,000.
7,000.
Yeah, we talked about doing
Right.
electronic along
We
2
did.
years ago.
But you'd still have to do
Shut
some.
it down.
You'd still have
PDF.
some paper.
Yeah.
We said
Yeah.
we'd like to be very.
But still, if we could half that to 3,500 PDF and then 3,500 mailing for people, that choose. I
Well,
mean,
but is there a break even or a sweet spot or a minimum?
That's
printing?
no
kind of, maybe
idea.
you would like to be,
I have
come
no
in
idea.
and be
I'm just saying,
envoy
anytime you
for
can
the
save
board.
money and help people without paper and waste.
Yeah. Well, this is where we advertise, though. I think a lot of people find out about our programs only through these.
Well, we still have some
Newsletters.
here too. I mean,
The other idea
I
Michelle
would
had.
go green. I mean, but then I'm involved a lot, so I mean.
There may be, I think there's some wisdom in Michelle's idea of having of kind of targeting audiences. So you come up with something that covers covers 3 months, a 1-page thing that you can drop off, at the schools or at the what's the proper word? I want to say old folks' home. Not right.
Senior
That's
citizens.
thank you. Sorry. Something that targets those audiences. That's specifically tailored.
Correct.
Oh.
Tailored and I guess
That's right, tonight you get the-
we're sorry. We're trying to not I mean, we're trying to utilize technology, obviously, it's been around, and I just think there's we have pointers to the to the website is what we're really looking to do. We're really looking to get something that just brings them to that one central place. I mean, that's, the website is the most, the most active. I mean, the newsletter gets stale pretty quick. On the side also is that I'm looking into trying to move away from the platform that we're using now. This is partly Ellen Mary's advice, who had just come back from a meeting with some home business stuff that she does. She met in New York City with a group of people all discussing how they have built their business, and they all say the same thing. They're using this particular, I'm not supposed to say too much about this because David says it's top secret right now, but they're using a free platform, basically. You'll figure this out quick. That used to be for blogging, but now has been tweaked in such a way that you can basically use it for a website.
So WordPress?
And it's and with sorry, David.
Sorry.
But the thing I like about it is it's very flexible.
So much for being top
It can be updated. It can be updated. Right now, it's set up so that we had a guy come in a couple of years ago and do it for $1,500. The one person that works on it is David. He doesn't know HTML, but he's good with getting around stuff, and he can.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't change the way it looks. We can't change the layout. We can't do anything to it because this is someone else's property, basically. Now, if we move over to WordPress, now we
High school kid.
we would have
They're the
right.
ones that
We,
rule the
and that's sort of
Sure.
what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I already have
That's what
somebody
I
in
asked.
mind
Yep.
that
People
somebody
on
that's
the friends.
does our
Junior
Facebook
friends.
uploads and stuff can do the same thing basically with that. And I would also have access to it. There are times over the past year or whatever that it's
Put something out
midnight
there
and I see
quickly.
that there's some mistake on the thing
Right.
and there's nothing I can do about it. Because I can't get to David. I can't. I can't. It's and this would open up the possibility that at least I could sort of be a co-designer in it. It wouldn't be.
Eagle Scout project.
Sure.
Yeah, there's definitely, we're going actually in 2 weeks to it was sort of serendipitous. Right after I had a discussion with Ellen Mary about this, an email pops up that the Southeastern Library Resources Council in Highland, New York is having a day dedicated to libraries moving over to this platform because it's inexpensive. It's all the things I just mentioned. So David's going, I'm going, and possibly Carol's daughter who helped us with the Facebook. So it's just something we're looking at. But this is all by way of saying I think what we'd like to do, I mean, since the people we want to reach are all digital, I mean, they swim in this stuff. I think that we need to put more and more emphasis on getting them, to our website. So I see that the newsletter has its value, but it's to me the prime value is that it lets people know that it sort of brings them to our website.
My
So-
thinking is a lot of people don't go to the website.
Right.
A fair number of people don't use the library until they get the newsletter
Right.
and they see something of interest. I think it's where we sell ourselves. But I think, if you had an opt-out sheet
Mm-hmm.
here at the library, for those people that actually use the library, to sign up on saying, I'll
Send
take the
me a
digital
PDF.
copy, take me off the mailing list, I think that's a good start.
Okay. Well, that's something we can. Right. Well, these are the kind of ideas we need. I mean,
The only, my personal experience with something like that, at our church, they went green, and we used to have a monthly newsletter, and you could opt out and give your email address,
Right.
and everybody's.
That's how it's
did it,
done,
yeah.
sure.
I used to read that 6-page or whatever it was, 4-page thing every month. Now, I'm reading email, it pops up, I might look at the first page and say to myself, I'll come back to it, and I don't.
Well, I'd have to
Or I
keep
go,
it short and sweet.
sometimes I do, because
Mhm.
I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's on the website, So
Mhm.
I think the thing to do is to have it two-pronged, and it maybe in the newsletter give almost like teasers and
Mhm.
say, here's something we're going to do, and here's a little bit of information
Oh,
about it.
that's
The rest
good.
of it's on the
Yeah,
website.
There you go,
right.
sure.
So they can,
that's sort of a hook.
yeah.
Yeah.
But also we need to keep our senior citizens in mind. 'Cause some of them, this newsletter, it comes and they read it and they keep it in the kitchen, on the refrigerator. Oh,
Yeah,
the
sure.
stitching, whatever, the quilt
Right.
bags and all. I think we need to keep them, also in mind. Do you know if the surrounding libraries have done away with their
It's a mix.
newsletter?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a mix. I mean, I don't have the numbers on top of my head. Some are strictly, yeah, I mean, and there's no rhyme or reason to it sometimes.
I mean, I've seen visited the Warwick website, and they, you know, all their information is on there, budget, everything,
Right.
you know. I'd be interested to know if they have one of these as well, a paper.
I think they do.
They
I think
do?
I think Warwick does, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, isn't the cost of the newsletter fairly low? Isn't it like 3,000 or per year?
For the
or
year,
What is
that?
this for?
15, wasn't it?
Something like that
Like
sounds.
15 for the year.
1,500
Yeah,
for the-
No,
No,
15,000 for the year. But on a budget over $1 million, if this is how
that sound right,
the
Jeff?
people are finding out what's taking place.
Yeah, I think it's.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, as you say, it's like the sales arm, and
We're also
Okay.
looking just to get
A little lower.
some input as to what, I mean, we have honed it down so that it's almost exclusively about the programs. And some libraries put out 6-page things where they go into what other libraries are doing here, and, you know, the fate of the library world if people don't fund them better. You know, they kind of go into the whole philosophical push. We have sort of shooed that. We put it right down, just basically try to keep it cheerful, keep it upbeat, keep it, you know, centered on what we're doing here, not what, you know. And that was a when we started this, that was a sort of thought out kind of design / philosophical turn from what had come prior, because it was the lead up to the building that didn't, you know, there was a lot of that kind of it had a kind of not a negative, but kind of a pleading tone to it, you know, like the building's too small, we're busting, all true
Right.
things. But I think people got fatigued almost by that, and we were trying to kind of, even the move to bring stuff down here. Let's see what we can do with what we have, you know, and worry about those issues a little while after the dust clears. Maybe now is the time to start to worry about those issues
Yeah.
again. Maybe there's been enough of a buffer, you know, and we can start to make it a little more, you know, informative about, you know, about or sort of press the issues that we're facing here. As I said, we were purposely trying to keep things cheerful with the color, you know, the changes in the color, the changes in the and I think Michelle, even more than me, because she works more directly with it, is sort of hoping to get some input from the board and friends and other key stakeholders in the whole project of what together we envision the thing doing. What are we trying to get it to do? If that's not enough, or if we want it, or maybe that's fine, and we can feel happy with the product. That I think she's feeling more than I am even that it's time for us to kind of retool it maybe
or expand upon it and have that as a teaser to
Right.
the online version, having more complete additional information.
right.
I
So,
don't know.
but if you'd like, any of you, I'll
Sure,
send
I
an
would
email
like
out
to.
if you'd like to come.
Yeah, if
talk with
I'm
us.
available.
The
I
only
can help
time
with
you can meet
friends.
is
Okay.
during
good.
the week during
Is-
the day,
uh,
business day? 'Cause I'm not available
Michelle's
then.
here generally, except for Thursdays, like 9 to 2, and I can. She's here Thursdays till closing,
Okay.
so maybe we can. Well, you know, I'll let you know.
Okay,
what,
good.
Okay.
Just a thought. The rest of my, well, you heard about the rabbit. That was something
Are
else.
you
I love
okay?
the way you wrote that.
Yeah, if you recover.
I was gonna go buy him a stuffed animal
Are
and
you
put it on
okay,
his
man?
desk. A rabbit.
Is it a big rabbit?
It was little.
Oh my God.
you
He
know.
went for the jugular and now he's
It was little but
It's one of
energetic.
those.
It was all over the place, you
I
know.
was scared.
Well, I have to say I was the brawn.
Bless
She
you.
was you know she was the brains. I got that. Danny had complained about this when he puts this air conditioner. He has to remove this iron wrought fence on its side basically that covers these things. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard to describe, but it's shaped with it sort of has this lip that comes, and you have to get it underneath the stone and then sort of jiggle it in, and it weighs over 100 pounds. It must. So I was able to get it off, and then I was standing around hemming and hawing, worrying about how we get the rabbit. I said, we need a net, we needed this, we needed that, I'm not sure. She just hopped in there with her shirt, put it in the box, and that was the end of it.
Uh-huh.
But, I made it sort of
Come on, man.
sort of
The truth is out.
Wuss.
but, and then she
You're
took it
he's
home,
gonna
and
get
then
like
she
12
took it home
rabbits
to
on his
her,
desk now, stuffed
to
animals.
show her kids, and they
Aw,
Oh, that's
they
nice.
fell in love with it, and then they released it, and as far as I
Good.
know, it's still alive.
good.
Isn't that a
I
rabbit?
hope so.
Yeah, I think it
That's
was. I
fantastic.
think it was their pet rabbit.
But yeah, you never know what you're gonna have to do here.
Alrighty.
Oh yeah, I mentioned there's a few things we're going to. Nyla's coming up with the last of the 10 classes for the what do they call it, the Management Administration Academy or something. All of those have been really fine programs and very helpful, and I've met a lot of it, good resources through those classes, so I'm excited about it. Mentioned the digital presence and online outreach. That's the one that's dedicated to the WordPress and a few other things. Other building issues. Ted Lewis, I guess I would assume teenagers, I don't know, broke into the property down here, broke into the Nuns. Knocked the door in, knocked the window off. Last time around, Mark Gardula was the one that he was at that time a board member and also kind of head of the building committee. He went and did it. This time, I got somebody that Ellen Mary had mentioned, the carpenter. He was great. I mean, he was there within 24 hours. It was fixed. And Ted Lewis was beside himself with how fast we moved. I think he expected us to kind of drag our feet and we'll get over there when we can, and it was done. So that was good. That's it. I did contact another painter, so that we had three bids, and one of the outfits didn't have the insurance, so another painter should be here this week, I hope, to look and we can get that underway. Okay, that's it as far as this goes.
Any other questions?
No.
Unfinished business, auditor's proposal, we have to have that motion.
Okay.
We have time to look over those
Yep.
from last month.
One of these, does one of these do the Warwick Library? There was some discussion about that.
Yeah, I don't recall now. The one from Harrison seemed to have the longest list of school districts, and they were touting
I
their.
thought we talked about getting a Warwick Library. I thought we got a bid from that guy.
Well, there was an issue there.
Yeah.
Well, that was not their, but like their auditor. She's not their auditor.
Yeah, that was different.
That's true. That's true. Nate, one of them seems to be primarily medical. When you look at the, there's Orange Regional.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That one seemed to me that it was.
Well, I liked Benacor de Benedictus, this one. I like the write-up. I thought it was very complete. And I'm sorry, if you, can I?
No, go ahead.
Okay. What I found, what I didn't like, and I don't know if I could talk about this here, about this particular one, I didn't like how it was saying management is responsible for this, management for that. It's letting us know we have a lot of considerations on our end that we have to take care of. Is responsible for making all financial records and related information available to us. I don't know, it sounded like, I read this as if they have had issues when they were hired where they didn't get the information. I don't know, it just got a vibe. When they preceded each paragraphs with management is responsible for. I don't know, that's just me.
I think two of them did that actually, and I was under the. It almost feels like we all have the same template, and they just kind of
Yeah,
Did you
I think
notice
that
that?
was a template that was used between this one
Right.
and this one. Those two. Yeah. But the other one, very nice write-up. A lot of
You're
information.
talking about the big.
This one.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
thought we had gotten some.
Yes.
Because Warwick had started the whole thing about how their
Right.
turnaround time was so phenomenal.
Right.
It's like 6 to 8 weeks or something, which is expected, not 18.
Regarding which
The
company?
well, I don't know. I thought we
Oh,
had that
okay.
proposal for some reason because a number sticking in my mind But now there's 3 of them there, and maybe that wasn't one of them, and I can't remember the name of the people that do it.
I left one of the 3 home, so the one that you were just talking about, can I look at that just for 1 moment?
Oh, that's the one you mentioned, Jim, that's the hospital, there's a lot of, list of a lot of hospitals on it.
I think these are the 3.
And this is why I
That's
left
the
home.
one that I like.
So
And I
Luke's
think,
going
actually,
to-
I think this is
Yeah.
what you were, talking about.
This is the one I
Right,
like.
and
That's the
that's
references.
part of the same packet.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is their clients. Their clients are
I know.
Community Foundation, St. Luke's, Orange Regional, Hillside
Orrington.
Regional Medical, Southwood Retirement, Health Quest. They're virtually, except for Community Foundation, they're virtually all medical. They do the teachers union. So I thought that was,
Alright.
that's, in other words, I think that's almost like a different
What are you talking about?
thing.
Okay.
The others have these weasel words that you're talking about, where there's lots of, for example, on Nugent, toward the bottom of the first paragraph, we will not express an opinion or provide any assurance on the information because the limited procedures do not provide us with sufficient evidence. So basically they're saying that we're gonna apply limited procedures and we're not gonna express an opinion as a result. So like, what are we paying you for if
Yeah.
we're not
It's,
gonna
it's,
do that?
it's one saying, we're not gonna do this,
Which one's that?
and the other saying, we're gonna do that. I
Um,
like
and-
when they say,
and-
we're gonna do
and
this,
no.
alright?
That same
that's-
document on the second page has an unbelievable sentence to me. If, for any reason, we are unable to complete the audit, which might be that they went out of business or something, who knows, or are unable to form or have not formed opinions, we may decline to express opinions or to issue a
That's what
report.
sold to this engagement.
They can decline to issue a report if they want to.
See that?
Let's just review.
It
We're
doesn't
looking
make
at
sense
this
to me.
because
I
we're
don't
not happy
understand
with the turnaround time of our current auditors, is that correct?
Right.
Because the monetary value is essentially the same. So I'm thinking, has anyone sat down and made them accountable and said, look, we've just been going on with you, it's come to our attention that 18 months is ridiculous, everyone else in the library world we've spoken to is getting an 8-week turnaround time. Tell me why you're not giving us that. I mean,
But there also was the
Well, how much
issue,
are we
they gave
paying?
us a report.
about the same as these.
They sent us a report which wasn't even signed. I mean, which sounds like the most fundamental thing you have to report
Well,
to sign.
like putting your name on a
Hmm?
test in school, and the
This is
kids
not-
are just
this
like,
isn't
I
what
get
I-
blank ones all the time, and I'm like, you
This is
gotta
Paul
be kidding me.
But these are
but-
not kids in school.
Yeah, I know, but it's the same premise of what the simplest tasks should be
But this goes
so
with
fundamental to do, but they don't.
the
Um,
Benedictus.
So I just, I don't know if it's something that instead of going a whole different route because we're not happy with the verbiage,
More than these.
do we wanna just sit down and talk to our current people and say,
Well,
look,
this one, the O'Connor
This is
Davis, starts out, we are pleased to confirm our
This is one
understanding
too.
of the services we are to provide. And it talks about, at the end, we appreciate the opportunity to continue to be of service to the library. It almost sounds like they have been of service to us in the past. Now, is this a form letter that they sent,
they probably just forgot to take out that prepositional phrase. And remember,
Wow.
they're from Westchester, so,
Could we hire someone
but this is not,
not take out a
I
preposition?
think maybe
They
they
haven't
consider
been-
this as providing us a
One is
service, and
Westchester,
they wanna
we
one is
appreciate the
Westchester.
opportunity to continue to be of service to the
Right.
library. They haven't been of service to us.
Maybe providing this is if they consider
Oh,
this a service to us.
Maybe this is, okay, could be it.
This is the one, that looked to me to have the most, school district.
Which one?
the one that we just
O'Connor?
you're
Yeah.
holding it.
This one? Okay.
I mean, that's just by the document they send us, I didn't go and look at anything deeper than that,
Mm.
but
And
it
the
seems
monetary
to-
value
They're the
is
ones that are
what we're
saying
paying.
what things they're not gonna do.
But these two paragraphs showed up in another one. Yeah, this one too, management
copy and
responsibility.
paste.
It's the same, it
Standard,
must be,
right.
They can't write their own request.
Well, the
for-
professional organization presents them with a boilerplate and
And they just
they adapt it.
put in Goshen.
oh, it's
Goshen,
exactly the
Goshen.
same, management is
Oh,
responsible,
no.
management is responsible, it's the same.
Yeah, it's the same 2 paragraphs.
It's just
Yeah.
they
I mean,
flipped
maybe auditors would do it
around.
too if we asked them for a bid, who knows? They might show up there
I think
too.
the Nugent has more weasel words than the O'Connor.
I like that term. You're
We
right.
call them potty words now in
That's
school,
exactly
apparently.
what's gonna happen.
Oh my god, I don't, this whole political stuff is nuts.
I don't know.
I'm not sold on these guys. I'm not sold on these guys.
That's who Matt likes. So, I think the
This
the
is-
hospital's overkill.
Yeah, but
What's-
they,
Don't you
what's-
think
would
we
what's-
feel
also
like
be
a small fish in a
microscopic.
big pond?
They might
They're
be
looking for the
microscopic.
business, and the cost is around the same, 8,500.
They're all
That, they're
around eight,
more, that's more than the other,
but within $1,000. Huh?
yeah.
Yeah, that's a very professional package.
I believe they also do the city of Newburgh as well.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, they do Newburgh Teachers Association.
The Benedictus, I believe it is, the Newburgh one?
Yes.
Do they give a turnaround time in that one? I don't remember.
Can't we put in a contract what we want the turnaround time to be, and if that deadline is not met, then the contract is null and void?
Well, that's what I'm saying, when you get such a big fish, are they gonna be able to get a small fish, their 8-week turnaround
They're-
time? That's my only concern.
Well,
They're the ones looking for the business.
they
Someone
put
said
a
just said
very well-written, comprehensive package together. I assume they want our business, having done that. I don't know.
This one mentions the date when it'll be completed, I think. What, at least one of
6
them
to 8
does. Is there a
weeks.
date?
Yeah, I know I read 6 to
Some
8
of them
weeks in a
have.
couple of them, that one I can't remember, because when you start to read through them, you get,
But to
Double
be honest, I
vision.
think they're always gonna say that, give it the best possible outcome,
June 30th.
that will really happen.
You're
yeah,
done
but
June 30th for
18
this
months
one.
is
Okay.
ridiculous for what we're, but,
Of course, it's all
No, but
subject.
again, we can impose the deadline. Can we do that?
But they could say, subject to you providing us with the appropriate documentation.
and we'd have to get it there
But
on
then it's
time.
on
yeah,
us.
it's always
Right,
that.
Then
bonus
it's on
and all,
us.
and even Jack said they could say 6 to 8, but it could really be 10 to 12, maybe 14, you know,
Maybe.
so once you sign something,
Plan cooperation.
so
or
I don't know if
yeah.
you wanna sit down and
Why don't we?
go over our
we
current
could've-
people, and
Well, we could approve that one, the one that's primarily medical.
maybe we should ask our current people for a new
And
bid,
You know,
and say we wanna
If we're not satisfied
reevaluate
with-
their
yeah, I-
But if we're
contract.
not satisfied
No.
with them,
But we reevaluate them, what I'm saying is, we've let the leash go so long with them by having no control, at our own fault, for not stepping it up and saying, look, this is what's happening, this is what, maybe if we bring it to them and say, your employer is not happy with your service, we've put out to bid, we want you to know, we're getting 6 to 8 week turnaround time guarantees, 18 months is just not gonna cut it. We wanna know if you're willing to reevaluate the contract with us, update it, give us, you know, what we're asking for essentially, because we've let them just run amok, and
well,
to
but
our
they're
fault.
professionals. It's like saying to your dentist, you know, you screwed up on the work you've done in my teeth, so I want you to tell you next time, please do a nice
But
job.
the problem is, we never have said we're not happy. We've just let
Well,
them go, so
but-
they're
but
don't they
assuming
have
that
any
everything is
standards?
okay.
he's
their
allowed
own-
it to, or they've allowed
Maybe
it to
they're
happen.
I
They're
don't know.
professionals.
They
I mean,
are,
they
but
should
maybe
know
18
better.
months for a busy company is, I mean, I don't know.
I would
Like
like to
Jack
try.
is saying, who
I don't
knows if
know.
it's gonna be
I would
6 to
rather
8.
try someone else.
You
Just
might-
then we have a basis for comparison.
Exactly.
To see.
They may do things different, find things differently, or find things that the other hadn't. I don't know. It's not going to be a bad thing to switch.
Could do it 1 year. Could do it for 1 year.
Just-
And then if we don't like their services, find somebody else again.
Yeah. We're certainly not going to be in trouble by changing accountants, because
No.
we're gonna get, quote, close quote, a professional accounting of our operation. And to get a new set of eyes is always helpful. And the people that we had ample opportunity, and they just,
to shine.
you know, put us on the back burner, and they did shoddy work, as far as I'm concerned. So I think we're justified, and it would be, very responsible. It might be quite educational for us to get another group to take a look, a
I
different
do
group.
too.
Think of it in terms of Salesian. We want a baseline for Salesian. We want a baseline for
Well, let's hope that they'll,
Accountants.
well, one of the contingencies is they need to come and report to us too.
Well, what I was gonna say is, if we're gonna choose, is this the one that you're thinking of?
Yeah.
The, what is it now?
Oh, so they're closer.
Vanacore?
the
The other ones were in
Benedictines.
Westchester.
Benedictus.
Benedictus, Vanacore, Benedictus. If we're gonna choose them, we could, vote on it tonight
know
and
her
just
too.
have
You're kidding.
this
No.
be subject
Is that a
to
bad thing? Okay.
some sort of an assurance.
Her son's in my CCD class. I know one of the people, so.
Subject to,
tell them you want the
This
report
one?
now.
yeah,
Is that a good thing or bad thing?
Oh, I don't know.
It's
I'm
irrelevant,
just,
You
know them
yeah, it's
personally?
irrelevant.
yeah, it's irrelevant.
Okay.
Her son's in
CCD and just soccer. and
Oh, okay,
that
okay.
kind
You're in
of
a
thing.
If you're
small
pushing
town.
them as a personal friend, that's a
Yeah.
No.
problem.
No, she's certainly not.
Right. Okay, so.
But this would be subject to them having their report completed by, and then we'll give them a date, and see if they'll accept that condition. What would be a reasonable length of time, do you think? To give
Jack?
them,
What's your-
Well, the standard seems to be 6 to 8 weeks. But even Jack is
So
saying
that'd be-
that's a standard. I mean, they could run over, they could say,
alright, so we could say no
10
later
weeks.
than, and give them,
10 weeks.
at least, I would say at least 3 months.
anything's better than 18 months right
Yeah.
now.
If they were to do it in 6 to 8 weeks, then they would be here for 3 weeks, and they would want the staff's attention for
Yeah.
almost. It would be a
Yeah.
major distraction.
Sure would.
You know, Audrey passed away, and we're really short as it is just to keep the current work going. When they come, no matter who the auditor is, they're gonna go through our cash disbursements, and they're gonna pick about 100 payroll transactions, paychecks, and probably 100,
If they're
disburse.
random samples.
Right, and then we have to go and hopefully be able to find them all because of all of the paperwork in there. Normally we find 95, 98% of it, and there's always a few that are misfiled or were pulled out or whatever.
Well,
And
that's the purpose of the audit process, though.
Right, right,
That's
but
is
it's-
to
but it's
figure
very
out why that happened.
it's very time consuming from the business office end to find that many
So
transactions.
it's going to impact you.
But
Right.
it's an annual thing, no matter who does it, that
Yeah,
has to be
right.
done, so.
But the
that's-
time constraint, if it was all forced in, a 6-week period, it would.
Well, what if we give them 4 months? Would that be reasonable? That spread it out more?
It seems like they've got the audit process broken down over here. So yeah, you can set a maximum time, like 3 months, 4 months, whichever. But it seems like the first step is going to be working with them to actually make a timeline for each of these steps,
Mhm.
and that'll have to fit into yours. So whatever timeline we decide on, realizing it's going to impact our own people.
Well, one of their closing paragraphs to the audit process is these procedures will be customized to meet the specific needs of the Goshen Public Library. The time frames can be adjusted to meet your needs.
That's nice, right?
So,
Accessible, responsive, and on time. Their motto.
I don't know.
Because they'll probably come in and get everything they need to get, like a copy of our QuickBooks to bring it back to their office, and then they'll print out the list, and then they'll give it to us normally, and then give us a week or two to get everything ready, accumulated, and all the bank statements and all that too. So, I guess more or less, no matter who it would be somewhat
Someone's
standard.
gonna be doing that, yeah.
Right, right.
Okay.
But I guess that, not as short as that, but not as long as it had been. Somewhere in between would probably be reasonable.
So we're talking about going,
3 months?
but they still don't have any references listed, any libraries listed as references. So
They don't.
they're going to be a generic audit.
Be generic, municipal type audit, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It should be okay, I would think. I don't know, a library's
well,
totally
having-
different,
Books
No,
are
I would think so,
Yeah,
yeah.
businesses are different, individual businesses are different, so it might be better to have
Well,
something that focuses on
they're
libraries.
doing nonprofits, didn't they talk about
Yeah.
nonprofits?
well,
Which is different
actually,
than a
I was
business, I
looking
would
at the
think.
list.
But they don't buy books. so
Regardless of
it doesn't.
what
But
the
it doesn't matter because if
product
we're talking about
is.
doing it for a year, doing as a
Yeah, 1 year.
just
But all
to,
of
just to
these-
get a comparison.
But all of these folks engage in purchasing and,
Right.
receiving and accounts payable,
And
accounts
tracking.
receivable. I'm talking like an accountant. That kind of thing.
Well,
Ours is not a complicated accounting system. We
Right.
don't have a
It's QuickBooks.
$30 million.
We don't have accounts
Budget.
receivable really,
Yeah.
so it's just money that we're paying mainly. The cash receipts that we get up front. They'll check that, they'll check the bank statements.
Yeah. So if we don't need any specialization for library, then they're fine.
So do you want a motion?
Well, what is the motion?
The motion is, do you want to accept
To hire.
Hire somebody.
these auditors, name the name, to be our auditors with contingent upon a 6
With the
to,
fiscal year ending June 30th,
but what time
2010.
limit did we want to give them? 6 weeks to 12 weeks, we said, or 6 weeks to 14 weeks, or
3 months.
what,
I would-
what?
What?
Carol?
6 weeks after for
The-
the first 6 weeks after the close of the fiscal year, Rob still is working
Right, that's right.
on it, so your auditors wouldn't come in until after that. So you have to have at least a 6 weeks or 2 month leeway at the end of the fiscal year before they would start.
That's fine.
Well, the fiscal year that is referred to on the O'Connor Davies, I assume it's the same, they all refer to the same one, is not the current fiscal year. We're talking about fiscal year that ended
2010,
like 10 months ago. We're way behind. So we're just talking about the one that ended in June of last year. So there should be no problem with that
Yeah,
material.
You're right.
because we're 18 months
Right.
in the red.
That could be their trial run.
That's
But
right.
I mean,
what
do
we're
we
just
have
saying
Well-
is we don't want them to take 18 months to give us a report
No.
unsigned. We want them to have a turnaround time
A turnaround
up
time
to
of after the audit process is completed to provide that report within, was it 6 to 8
well,
weeks?
we had
or-
3 different numbers,
We
so
had 3
6 to
months.
14 or 6 to 12.
I was just trying to be responsive to what Jack said. So I
Right,
was
to
saying,
give them a
if
little
we got it
leeway.
in 4 months from now, would we be happy?
Well, it's still within the fiscal year, like, we're not way
No,
behind
it's
still a
not
year,
rocket
so
science,
as
so
long as,
it's-
I think, as
yeah.
long as we're in the first, even quarter of our first year, first half of our fiscal year,
next year, right?
you know? I mean, I would be comfortable with that.
And then if we're happy with it, we can
That's, we could just
Bring-
not even
bring
give
it
them a
along
week,
for the-
we could
for
say
the
in the
2011
first half of our
2010,
fiscal
2011.
year, being whatever that month would be, I mean, I don't know.
The other thing is
But-
that we could propose a timeline for them. They could say, no, that's not, for us, that's not a reasonable timeline. Then we'll
Well,
say,
they
okay,
said
thank you for
timely
your
and
services.
fashionable up to our,
Yeah.
uh,
How about by September 30th? Ask them if that's reasonable.
when is he finished, Rob?
Oh, that's.
Sure.
no,
But it doesn't
that's-
affect
that's
it,
okay.
right?
Oh,
because
yeah, okay, never
you're on the
mind,
roll
I'm
now.
still thinking
Yeah.
of that.
I'm sorry.
So September 30th,
And then we'd only be a quarter behind the next fiscal year, like you
Instead
just
of-
Yeah,
said,
right,
right?
and then,
instead
and
of
then we
being
would,
in
if
the
we're
red.
happy with what we get, we can then retain them to do the.
The year just ended, right?
Yeah.
Just ended.
Well,
that would be the motion.
should I make a motion here?
You should make a motion
I'm
if
gonna
you're
try
comfortable.
to.
Okay,
I'm
go for it.
would like to make the motion that we hire Craven Vancor de Benedictus de
Di Giovanni?
Giovanni and Weddell to do our audit of the year ending June 30th, 2010, and to have that completed by September 30th
30th?
of 2011. All right? That's
Okay.
the motion.
Good motion.
There's the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
That's Jim. All in favor?
You
Opposed?
and
Abstained?
I.
Motion carries.
All right.
Excellent.
Yay.
Thank you. I think it was my first.
Alrighty then.
well done.
New
Stand up to
business.
legal scrutiny.
Designation of official banks, newspapers, meeting day, and time. Where is this? I have to read all this stuff like I always do?
Is there a budget? Okay, go on.
Okay. Designation of official banks. Resolved that library funds be deposited in one of the following banks: Bank of America, Chase, KeyBank, Orange County Trust Company, Provident Bank, Berkshire Bank, TD Bank North, and M&T Bank.
Did you say one of the following?
Funds be deposited in one of the following banks:
We use 2 banks, don't we?
Key and Orange County Trust.
So it says we deposit in one, we have to choose one. We should rephrase that to one.
Or more.
If you would like that.
One or more of the following. Insert that little thing.
And
Motion. Norma, second.
What is the?
This is just a designation of our banks that
So
we're allowed to
saying
use.
We're going to use one of the
Using
banks
the
of the
same
ocean.
ones.
Correct.
That's all we're saying.
That's all right.
Yes, one of the 10.
Okay.
Yes.
We don't have to pick two. In other words.
No, but we
don't have to pick
have.
the same two. Okay.
Yes.
So we're just,
Basically, we're using
okay.
the same
All right,
ones.
I'm
So
sorry,
we
yeah.
have a Norma and a Jim.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, designation of official newspapers. Resolved that the newspapers of record are Times Herald Record, Goshen Independent, and the Chronicle. Motion. Norma, second. Bernie,
I have a question.
Yes.
Does that mean we must place legal notices in all 3?
Yeah.
We didn't do it in the Times Herald Record,
We don't, right?
Yeah,
I
we
didn't
did.
think we
did
did.
we?
yes,
I don't remember
we
seeing it.
do. and it just means that if we have something legal to post, we can post in 1 or 2 or 3.
Okay.
But our
We don't
notices
have to
will
do all
always
three.
be in one of these.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, as long as you don't have to.
Is there a charge for those places?
They
Yeah.
certainly do,
Hmm.
big bucks.
Big
Really?
bucks.
So then we have to think who
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Do I have a motion?
I make
Keith,
the motion.
do I have a second? Norma, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
motion carries. Okay. Designation of official meeting day and time. Resolved that the regular monthly meetings of the Board of Trustees will be scheduled on the second Monday of each month at 7:30 p.m. Motion. Norma, second. Jim, all in favor? Opposed,
Okay.
motion carries. Appointment of attorney. Resolved that the library continue to retain the legal services of Robert W. Fink, attorney at law. Motion.
I make the
Keith,
motion.
second. Bernie, all in favor? Reluctantly. Opposed?
I'm gonna abstain.
Abstain, 1 abstention. Jim? And so the motion still carries. If we have such small people, it's just like, I'm getting a little. I know, but. Resolved that the library use the resources of Norton and Christensen Law Offices, 60 Erie Street, Goshen, as backup to Robert W. Fink, Goshen Public Library and Historical Society attorney, in case where specialized legal expertise is needed. Motion. Jim, second. Keith,
I have my hand up first.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Appointment of accountant treasurer. Resolved that the library appoint Robert W. Schultz, CPA, to be library treasurer. Motion. Bernie. Second. Norma. All in favor?
Spread it around. Spread it
Opposed?
around.
Motion carries. Okay. Appointment of the clerk of the board. Resolved that Carol T. Cullen, library clerk, part-time, be appointed clerk of the board. Motion.
I make that motion.
Keith, second.
Second that motion.
Norma, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. Appointment of accountant treasurer. We did that. Oh, the 2 in
Nominating
1.
committee.
Woohoo! The nominating committee. Okay, so this is the nominating committee that we do every year. The president picks 2 people on the board to be the nominating committee to elect the officers for the upcoming year.
To nominate.
To nominate the officers for the upcoming year. So what happens is those 2 committee members talk amongst themselves and then appoint who they.
Isn't it people express interest in running for a position?
Historically, no.
Really? Is that because nobody wanted to, or?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Because Patty was president for 13 years, I think. So that's just the way it's
Huh.
been. I
Well-
don't know why it became that way. What?
The nominations are opened at that meeting. In other words, the committee, as I understand it, comes up with a slate. But if anybody wants to run, they can be nominated at that meeting.
Mhm.
Okay.
The slate
Right.
is not a
So-
closed slate.
Is this a regular meeting? Is this same?
It's a regular.
Monday.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next meeting we would
You
nominations
would
would be made.
put your slate of officers.
Now, is the election at the next meeting also?
Yes.
Okay.
June, because
So-
then we would do the committees again, the reassignment of committees.
The officers are identified in June and voted upon in June, that same night.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing's taken care of.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because there's
No
really
election
not
meeting.
a big
Fast
to
moving
do.
board.
No time to put up signs on the lawn.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's just us, right? It's
Yes.
just the board that
Yeah.
votes. There's no.
Mhm.
Right. And it's not even a matter of voting. If you put the slate up and you say it and we're all like good with it and nobody wants to contend it, then that's just the way it is.
So it's just a formality to get 2 people to
Yes.
sign up as the. Okay.
Yes.
I'll be.
Okay,
if
I was
that's
gonna ask
okay.
Norma and
I'm
Keith.
sorry if. I wasn't sure if you were looking for volunteers. So.
Well, everyone has had a shot on the board, so since you're the newest, I was gonna give it to the less than newest people to be the nominating committee.
Okay.
And then you would just call each other, talk to each other, whatever, and say, let's leave the slate as it is, or,
Well,
you know.
actually, you cannot be in a position for more than 2 years according to our bylaws, believe it or not.
Well, Patty was 13.
I know. I just,
Patty and Laura were going back and forth, weren't they?
For 13, I don't know, every 2 years, I don't know.
yeah. It's just, I noticed that when I'd gone through the blue book before.
Was
But
is it our actual bylaws, or is it
Yeah.
that one that makes recommendations?
it's right here and it's revised,
I honestly don't think we've
so,
followed them,
and this is our regulation.
followed them, to
Okay.
be honest with you.
I
Well,
don't know.
that should be followed,
I
guess.
don't,
I mean,
yeah, I don't,
How long have you been an officer?
this is my second.
It might be
Second year?
2 terms instead of 2 years.
Oh,
it
2
says 2
terms?
years.
No, but the terms are 1 year.
It's
Yeah,
the-
you
yeah,
vote
the
annually.
Right.
Terms of the office, not terms of trustee.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if nobody wants it, then what's it matter? I don't know.
I don't know, maybe it's just to keep tenure at a pace, so it's not, you know, one person for 25 years, maybe that's why it's there, but
Yeah. Okay.
if you wanna change it, we can change it, if you're uncomfortable with it.
No, I just I noticed it. I think some people will volunteer. I'm hoping. I don't know. You know, people, wanting to be.
And is so if they're going to be on the committee, does that mean they will not become officers?
No.
Yeah, not historically.
Oh, then I don't want to be in the committee.
I'm sorry, it's too
I
late.
didn't know that. I didn't sign anything.
Best interest of yeah.
Okay,
Just the
knowing
two
that
of
now,
us
do
are
you
gonna
wanna
be
back out of the
nominated.
nominating committee, either one of you?
I do.
Okay, so, Norma,
I
your
don't.
thoughts? You don't wanna back out?
Nope.
So Bernie, can I ask you, or do you,
Sure, sure.
okay, so Bernie and Norma
Mhm.
will be the nominating committee.
But I think, I'm glad you pointed this out, because I was not aware of it. I think we either have to do this, or we have to change this. And I think that's a board question.
Yeah, I don't, they were on for 10, 15,
But is it-
in my
do they take
recollection,
turns
I don't
back and
remember
forth?
them doing that often, every 2 years, to be honest with you, so. It's neither here nor
But even
there.
if they did violate it, that doesn't mean that we should violate it. No, we shouldn't say, well, there's precedent for breaking the bylaws, so let's break the bylaws.
Well, no,
That's
but,
our thing. We break bylaws.
'Cause
It's
last-
okay.
Last time I remember, Jim,
It's
you
okay.
was it you and Ellen Mary who did
would-
it for
it would-
this year?
no, I
Yeah.
think it was
Right.
Frank,
No, I was involved at one point.
you were,
My first
I think it was last year I
idea
was
was
involved.
with Jim and Ellen Mary, and they put forth you as president, Ellen Mary vice president, and Jim as secretary.
So I was
And
on
we
the
all
committee,
voted.
and I ended up having an office.
mm-hmm,
So
Mm.
that would contradict what was,
what Keith
Yeah.
said.
I think
Well,
my
you said
recollection
it.
is that nobody else wanted to be secretary. So I sort of reluctantly. Well, it's the key thing, I think, is that at that meeting, anybody can be nominated.
Yeah.
So it really is open, even if you're on the nominating committee.
So you want to be
usually-
back on the committee?
No. No, it's all right.
So we will put people forth to offer, anybody who's interested should contact one of us. Okay,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
Power brokers.
No,
No, not at all. No.
Okay, I just wanna make a note, the appointment of our accountant treasurer, we were gonna update that job description. Did we talk about that last meeting? To add more, the job description was,
Move
I think
Talk-
we were also interested in maybe
about presentation, coming here to
yeah,
present.
coming,
Mhm.
attending,
and updating his
right.
job description as part of
Yeah,
that, because
yeah,
it was
'cause
so
if it's not
vague.
identified, then how can you hold them to
But
it?
we need some help
Or-
on that. Maybe, I don't know what other boards do, what other boards ask of this person.
Didn't we find something in one of the books regarding that? Didn't we
Treasurer?
read through? I thought we'd come across the position and what one normally did in that position from looking at, could have been the handbook. I don't know. I
See,
thought.
our new accounting firm is supposed to make recommendations,
Mhm.
and I was hoping that they might make recommendations in regard to the way the treasurer is usually,
Trustee.
you know, functions.
His
So
job
that's the one where it says the trustee is
Yes,
actually a
sir.
member of the board?
What?
Did you read something where the trustee, I mean, where the treasurer should be a member of the
No,
board?
I don't remember that.
I put all RCLS directors call out to ask other libraries how they dealt with the relationship between the board, the treasurer, and the business office. And I left it upstairs, but maybe 3 or 4 directors got back to me from various sized libraries, and it was wildly different in each place. It was really like local culture, you know, some places treasurers were paid, some places they were a member of the board that, you know, that they did it gratis. Some places had, some libraries had, it sounded almost as if, I mean, it was, well, let's just say it wasn't nearly as controlled as our situation is. It just had been done that way forever. I've been dealing with a very small, you know, like Sullivan County far-flung libraries, but it was like, oh, we've had Mabel doing all that for the last 30 years. So, but
Can we get Mabel? Sound like she's
Lives down
good.
by the old oak tree.
but there was definitely no uniformity across, you know, it was different library to library. It was a totally different situation. And I don't know, what are you remembering? We were looking at another book in my office on duties of an actual hardcover book on library trustees. It could have
Maybe.
been in
I
that.
thought we had conversation here. I thought we had found something in the blue book, which is
Yeah, I
quite
remember
lengthy.
something like
here.
that.
I think
Job
our
descriptions, maybe.
Our bylaws do
310.
state that the treasurer is supposed to appear, at some point it must have been this way, at the meetings to basically do what Jack does.
No, that's no good.
Confers with Jack, and then the treasurer comes and makes the reports. I don't know if we can get Rob to do that for the amount of money he's being paid, but he can
I'll do
definitely
that.
come every third meeting, or, you know, and
Well,
I'm sure I can get him to come.
We have a job description. We have something that's already, that was given out to him.
For
that
treasurer.
we could all sit down and modify, perhaps, the way we want.
I'll look. I don't know if the board, if the trustees have duties in our policy handbook, though. All we have really for you guys are the bylaws. We have, all of our.
What are you saying, that you would write the job description? or-
Well, I could. I think, because I think what I have would be civil service designations with the related duties. But since the treasurer is not a he's not a civil servant, it's I don't think I have anything in writing in my handbook.
Gosh, I know I had it in front of me, so it was in the blue book.
Okay.
It was
I remember you
it's a
referring
starting
to it.
point.
Yeah, I'll look. I'll look too.
Okay.
I do have that. I have a vague recollection of us looking at something.
It's probably on the video.
That's right. I'll have to go back.
Let's look at the video. Oh God, save me from that. So, okay.
Okay, so we'll work on that. Next item is the renewal of Allegro landscaping contract. And from what I'm told, he's doing a fabulous job. He's the only one to clean the gutters, and he's only asking for an increase of $20 per month.
I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
All
Yeah.
Accept the
in-
Allegro contract as submitted?
Yes.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Anything under new business and other?
Can I, who's second?
Jim and
Yes, I
Norma,
Oh,
in
I
that
think
order?
No, we agreed with that.
Janorma?
Yeah, this is where it was.
Jorma.
It was very vague.
Yeah, it was small. It was actually 2 duplicate
That's why we
paragraphs.
Oh, that's
Asked
right.
to
Remember that?
update it.
Yeah.
So it's, was it Jim?
There's
Yes.
page number on the bottom.
Has it been voted? Did I?
Yeah, I said all in
it
favor.
was- yeah.
Everybody's
That was
good.
very quick.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Anything in other under new business?
What were we going to talk about? The study for Cilicia?
Well, I was just, I gotta bring that up. Well, we're waiting
Is that
to
the executive
hear-
session?
Yeah.
Well, we won't talk about money, so.
Okay.
We're just waiting to hear back from him because he wanted to review the
count?
paperwork we have on file to see if what we have is enough to bring his price down
Mhm.
for doing the comparison on the station property. So until, Paul can get down here to go through our files, as
We're
it
still
were,
waiting on that.
we're waiting, to hear if he'll bring that number down to what we had agreed
Yeah.
upon several months ago.
He's gonna look soon. He's gonna come by and look at our
It's,
stuff
he's a
soon.
busy guy, so,
I'll check back. He said he would
Nudge.
contact me next time he was at the,
This is money, man.
where is that library they just did? He was gonna be at
yeah, somewhere. I
Saugerties.
think he told me that.
But I haven't heard from him. But I have to say that my intuition is that he's not going to go down too much, because the first thing out of his mouth when I mentioned what we were offering was that he thought he was giving us a pretty good. He said, I thought I sort of lowballed it. He said, to start with.
Yeah.
So, but he said, I will look at the documents and I'll see if that makes a.
I mean,
Is he gonna give us a rendering of the building? No.
oh, I don't know.
right?
He's just
So-
gonna tell us what it
I
would be
mean-
to build with what we,
Yeah, we're not asking for architectural
green,
renderings.
12,000 square feet, phase one essentially.
Hopefully, I was hoping that he'd find our requirements out from you, our employees. You know what they envision as
That's part of what
space requirements and
He wrote a whole
know,
big thing of
sure.
what he
I
was.
mean, he comes here several times and sits with us
Okay.
X amount of hours to
Okay.
figure that. Yeah, to figure that out. So.
And after seeing the building over the weekend, as fabulous as it is, I just think 2016 is far, far away.
what would be 2016 for
Building
what?
it, moving
For
in.
1887.
With 1887. 3 years for them to complete. I thought they would start in 2013
And then he
That's
said
the
3
parking,
years.
that's the parking building.
It's all in phases.
and 3 year
But by the time they,
process. Wow.
That doesn't
Yeah.
have to go up before the voters?
Oh.
it does.
It does.
No, it goes
well,
to the
to
legislature.
the legislatures.
Legislature,
Oh,
actually.
Yeah.
so they
That's what
voted, so
Gary said.
we peons have nothing to say
Well,
about
I mean, you could call your
No,
That's your
legislature.
local legislator.
Yes, and well, you know, this is where you'd sell it in letters to the editor or whatever. I don't know. What is the next step? Is it we're going to talk about
For,
this?
for
and-
us. For
Yeah,
the
well, for the
1887
whole
building?
process for us, yes.
I think the next step
Right.
is it needs legislature
Oh no, I know about what they have
to
to
pass.
do.
Otherwise, I mean, if it doesn't pass, then everything's moot.
But if we, you know, had a majority vote feeling that it's not going to work for us, I mean, that's something we should discuss. I don't think that's the case, but
Well, I think in the meantime, we should still get the study done.
definitely,
So
definitely,
That either
that's
is
a definite.
a yes, or it's we can forget about it because it's,
Yeah.
$20 million or whatever. And then we'll obviously pursue our next best option.
Yeah, okay.
But right now, I think it's just a wait and see, just for a little bit on that building. I mean, it's in no rush. It's not being sold. It's not going anywhere for 5 years.
Yeah.
And then if that doesn't work out, then we're gonna have to find more money to get somebody in there to make sure it's sound and engineering and what we could do and how much that would cost to revamp
Mhm.
into a library.
You bet.
It sounds like, I don't know that we're necessarily the only option, but we're one of the only options for that building. I mean, otherwise, if it were to go, it
It's
sounds
gonna go
like
back
they
to the
would,
church.
goes back to the church, yeah.
And I don't know what they're
Well,
gonna do with it.
What other
Well,
municipal,
you
what
know-
other municipal buildings or offices will go into that building?
I would think that Mr. Diana would like to know from us if we would be interested if this comes about.
Oh, we don't need to drag our heels in that, yeah, but.
No,
but-
no, what I'm saying is, all right,
But certainly.
we may not be interested. Maybe somebody else would be interested. Maybe the village board, the town board, maybe combined. I don't know. You know,
With
there,
enough
there
room
are
there, yeah.
possibilities there. Maybe the court systems to be combined. Maybe both town and village be moved into that.
I'm sure
Sell
he'll
their holdings.
reach out to them as well too.
You think he will?
Well,
Or will he
if
wait
we
till
if we
we've
if we
said
say no, we're
yes?
not interested, he's gonna have to find somebody else viable to go into that.
Oh
'Cause
yeah.
he can't sell it, and he doesn't want to sell it. So
But I would think he would want to know sometime soon because that's part of his sales pitch.
the library is gonna go in
Yeah,
here.
I
This is
mean,
going in there.
So you know we should at some
Well,
point.
we can't
soon
say for sure
discuss-
yet either because we could
No,
have an architect come in and
we'd
say it's
be
just not gonna
interested.
work, or it's gonna be $5 million to revamp it.
Yeah.
So
No.
we can't say we could say yeah, we love it and we're interested. However, it's contingent on
Of course, yes. But I guess we don't feel it's not viable. Right.
If you want
Right.
me to call him,
Okay.
I can call him and say we toured it and it's interesting, and it's not no to us, and we would be interested in it.
We just
But there's
would
a
have
lot
to
of
do studies
things-
and find the cost for
We're
this.
waiting for their next.
Right,
step.
Sure.
we need to make sure the legislature passes this whole thing, and then we need to
Well,
get
we're
somebody in
waiting
there
for
to
our
make
next
sure.
steps.
See, I
Our
don't
next
know if
step.
you have to call him. I think he will call you.
Okay.
So again, he's trying to sell this to the legislatures, some of which are local.
Well,
Right, and I
or
think
it's our
that's his
own.
priority right now.
So,
At the same time, I think it's fair that we use Salesian as a benchmark towards
Definitely.
towards any place we go. I mean,
Mm.
the study that Paul is talking about doing is going to give us a grand idea of what we need in a library.
Mhm.
If we were maybe if we're going to build it next year, which we won't, but maybe it's for next year, or maybe it'll be a plan good enough for the next 5 years or 7 years, depending on how detailed he's going to make it, how much information he gets from the staff, etc.
And we need to keep in mind too, once he does the study, it's gonna be hard not to want to go ahead because bidding and everything else is at a I don't know the word I'm looking for, at a
it's
good
low.
thing right now,
Yeah.
and rates, et cetera. However, Goshen is not ready for that now too, but I also, in the back of my mind, don't wanna spend X amount of money right now and not be doing anything for 3 or 4 years and then have to do all this again in 3 or 4 years because now all of a sudden everything's gone up, wood, contractors, labor.
Yeah.
That's my only concern too.
Oh, we just got to
I think
pay
we
Matt
both
enough to
said.
stick around.
That's just my only concern about that too. It needs to be done, there's no question, but, and I would love to see it done now, but now if we do it now, 2 or 3 years, is it moot?
Well, but it seems like a lot. I mean, it'll just be moot in the sense that the numbers, the dollars
Well,
might
But
change.
that's huge.
Well,
I mean,
no,
right now
but
things
what I'm
are
saying
so,
is that the it sounds like for what Paul has spec'd out is that the general plan, the information he's going to provide is going to be consistent.
well, what we need
next
in a
year versus
library with
5
the
years from
department
now.
heads, yes,
I
but
mean, it'll be useful information.
contract managers, construction, wood, square
But
per
building
square
costs
foot.
may have gone up 10% or 13% or something. So, but we'll have a number we can multiply that, you know,
To-
by,
to-
by
to
the
set our
increase in
expectations.
building costs.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of the feeling that even if he comes in with this great low number, I mean, the Warwick Library was 9 million. I mean, if he come up with something that's 5 million, I don't think the town would go for, the village would go for it.
No, right
Because-
now, no.
not at
So,
all.
so it's almost like we really can't even think in terms of making decisions like this for at least 3 years.
Till the land is paid off.
Well, the land will be
Yeah.
paid off about that time, I
Nothing
guess.
matters, so.
But we're not postponing it for 3 years because the land's not paid off.
No, it's
We're
because
postponing
of
it because
the
of the economic
economy.
environment. the
Right.
economy.
Absolutely.
So, should we get the benchmark now, knowing that it's gonna take 3 years? Or should we wait?
Mm.
Because in 3 years, maybe the staff will have different ideas.
Well,
Maybe-
I think we, as Frank suggested, as you know, those that watched the video from the librarian out west, I think out west,
Mhm.
which I thought was a great video. We really should sit down. I don't know if we come up with answers or a vision that everybody else has not been able to do so, but you know, we should discuss and maybe look at some of these resources that are out there to find what we see as our library consisting of 10 years from now with the advent of e-books, reducing shelf requirements. And,
Yeah.
and you know, the main point I think was we have to reinvent ourselves, and hopefully we can, and I think we'll be able to get ideas from other libraries throughout the states that are doing this very same thing to ensure their survival in this digital century. So
Yeah, I think that the video that you mentioned, I know I disagree with some parts of it, but the general message was, like you said, reinventing, or basically, put it another way, we need to spec out what we're going to do. We need a 7-year plan. We need a long-term plan here, and that's one of the things that we need to work on. And it'll encompass ebooks.
Well, the next library bill is gonna be another 100-year.
But
Library.
something that, like we talked about,
Yeah,
where
we'll have to
we're getting rid of.
take care
We
of
have
this.
books that are donated, and we have to turn people away, turn those book donations away, and we have to get rid of some of the stuff on our shelves because of our space limitations. I'm not saying we should be an archive for the county, but by the same token, if we had more space for shelves, we could keep books longer, and people who come in looking for a book that's 30 years old, that's not going to go into an ebook.
Oh yeah, sure.
Those people will not be at a loss if we can hold on to those books.
Those are reasons for continuing to have libraries.
to having shelves. Yeah.
So, are
This
we
is
doing
something
the
that- I'm sorry,
study? I'm sorry, or are we not doing the study?
For Mays?
Paul.
No, there was a question
It's an interesting point.
since
Yeah.
we're not gonna
It's-
start even talking about building for 3 or 4 years
Well,
because of the economy,
I don't know.
should we spend the next 3 years looking at the changes and coming up with a vision, working with the staff, looking at other libraries, and then have Paul or somebody come up with a plan? Are we spending this money prematurely given the state of the economy?
Sobering as it is, I think you're right. I think we, but I'm not
We
going.
also
I'm not
have-
going for 3 or 4 years out. I'm hoping for 2 years. Things will change, and people will recognize that libraries are an important part of our society, and we need them. And they'll
When Robert Hupsher was here, one of the things, when we first were looking at the Q building, his recommendation to us said, don't think of the library as a place where you have shelves and you have books on the shelves. Think of the library as something where you can draw the community together, where the community can come together. I'm not convinced that ebooks will take over the world. That's just me. I think we will always have a need for bookshelves, for books on shelves for people who want to have that experience. But to think about it in what his, in his terminology is, think about it as a center where the community can come, where people who, I believe he used the example of, when people are unemployed, you can offer, seminars on how to write a resume. You can offer, new moms workshops and things like that. So that's, for me, that's the way I think of a library. The books on the shelves, but also as a place where the community can come, and gather and share thoughts and ideas. If we're going if libraries are going the way of ebooks, then do we need that much space in the 1887 building?
Well, it's a perfect opportunity to combine with other municipalities as well.
Well, I like the extra space for other use, for public use. Doesn't need to be shelving, and if we find that we can only put shelves on the first floor, to me that would be fine, because the second floor could be used for either public meetings or programs. Whereas now we're cramped, we have this room having multiple uses. We could have a dedicated meeting room for
The
board meetings.
children's area where children can, where children don't have to be turned away because it only fits 10 kids, 14 people.
To have larger reading areas.
Yeah.
Would be nice.
That's a disservice for our
this
children.
is a whole
I
night.
think.
Yeah, it is. I just
discussion.
want to make one quick comment. I think the most interesting thing about that video, the Codex video, and it flies right in the face of everything I used to say about libraries. I used to, sorry Jim, say I really think at some point the library should go separate ways from the historical society, blah, blah. Because that's how for the last 20 years it's been. Historical Society has its own mission, which is kind of looking back, and the libraries are always trying to look forward. But I think I think it's a fascinating possibility for libraries to be, well, let me back up. He said that he thought that the libraries trying to collect the world and bring them to a center was the wrong way of doing it. That libraries started out with local information, unique, local to the environment, and then disseminated that outward. And I don't know if you caught it, but there was a picture of it looked like cubbies where people were working with computers. And in my mind, I could see the need for space still. If a library began to offer services for software that was too expensive for kids to purchase to do video editing, for software for music, you could actually, where your community is actually the tax monies are gathered to purchase the kinds of things that are not just books. I mean, not just, we're talking about stuff that's way beyond. I know some artists around here that can't get to college, they don't have the money, and they're fantastic artists, but no access to the tools they need, Pro Tools, or, this heavy software that you need big computers for, that you need, way out of any individual's price range. And then, if I understood him right, he's saying that the library actually becomes the locus of this local information that then is sort of disseminated out to the world at large. It sort of flips the model over. Not that we would ever get rid of having books and but I like the idea of the library actually as a place of creativity, giving the public tools that would otherwise be outside of their price range altogether. And spaces, rooms, to actually work on. As I say, it could be music production, it could be film, it could be all this digital stuff that's
Could be a children's writing contest.
It could, that right, exactly. Well, exactly. Where there, and I have a feeling that there's some wisdom in that, because we do it already, but on a much more folksy level, But I think that with technology being what it is, I know this myself because you do too, actually. I have, recording equipment. I mean, on my computer, it's a Sonar, it's a PC-based stuff, and I can sit there and I can strum, I can do this. But wouldn't it be amazing if for the people out there that don't have the resources, that have the talent, but don't have anywhere for a library to be that place, to supply those sorts of things, along with everything else it does. So the idea, that libraries necessarily should shrink, maybe not the case. That we may need the space, but it just may be used in ways that we're not even thinking of. So I don't know. I'm just putting that out there.
That was
I found
Robert
it-
Saunders,
These are all good
you know,
ideas.
It's
Right.
don't think about it as just a place where you're going to put your books. Think about it as a place where the entire community will come and gather.
Right.
I mean, in a sense, we're doing that also with Ken's programs.
Right.
With the theater. I mean, how
It's
many
just that
times
our
has he told
spaces-
us that we're the only one? We're the only library who offers an educational theater series.
But I think
mean, how welcome is that in the community?
right. I think you're right that the lack of a plan is a real problem, because it's almost like trying to construct the body without knowing what the soul underneath it is yet. We don't know what. Talk about the bones, or whatever, before we want to sort of get the spirit of what we're trying to get to before you start to worry about physical space. As frustrating it is to try to work in this environment sometimes. I think we need to really sit down and hash out what we think, anyway, in the next year, the next 2 years, the next 5 years, so that we have something to shoot
Guiding.
for, some guidance.
And I think to go back to something I had asked a while ago, is the needs assessment from you and your staff, and that could be a guiding point. That could be a spring. That could be a springboard where we get, okay, this is what Matt and the staff see it, in terms of space, utilization of space, almost like, what's your wish list? Sometimes you get, what's your wish list? What do you want? And then, what is it that you're going to get?
Right.
What are the absolute bare-boned needs
Right.
that this building at the moment doesn't allow you because of the physical restraints of the building?
Right.
Parking, parking is, I was backing out of here on Saturday morning, and a minivan came through, and had I not
Taken
been
away from your
observant,
hands.
the back of my car would have been gone.
Right. We have done it a couple times in the space the last few months. Every time we do it, we sort of, I think we get disoriented because we're not sure whether we're it's sort of cart before the. We're not sure which way to go. Do you give us? Let's say you have X amount of space, or do you just do it totally? What would you? Here's your, the library of your dreams. Do you start with that, or do you start with? We're going to give you children's room. You're going to have you're going to have 2,500 square feet. You're going to have. And so what happens is I get this list of all this really amazing stuff, and then it sort of peters out because they're not sure where we're going to. So it's almost like we need. I feel like we need
nice to see. I
just
think, Matt.
just a
I think it
dream,
would be nice.
sort of.
Yeah, I mean, don't ask for the Taj Mahal.
Right.
You're not going to get it. At least not from me. I don't know anybody else here who would give you the Taj Mahal. With a price tag of $20 million. That's the last building. Is it 20 million dollars? I would never vote for that. You've all seen other libraries. I personally, when I went to visit the Warwick Library, there must have been at least 50 kids in the children's area,
Wow.
because there were 2 rooms, and both rooms were at least 25 kids doing different projects. You know, is that something that would interest,
I'm sure they'd love it.
you
They'd
know?
love it, yeah.
So aim for the stars, and then we'll bring you down to reality.
Right.
Mm.
That's my feeling. I don't know anyone else.
That's my feeling too.
I mean, even if we, the 1887 building with all its space, even if we did something where we didn't use the third floor, or we used the third floor for storage,
Mhm.
whether it's storage of the stuff that's currently in the building or stuff that we bring over there and we'll get to in 6 months or in 12 months. But, you know, for example, again, to use that building and to only use the first and second floors, to only use the space that we need,
Right.
and still have down the road, okay, we might want multimedia machines
Right.
to run ProLogic on. We might want fast machines. Okay, what do we actually spend on new machines this per year for computer equipment? Okay, so can we slot $6,000 a year, and what'll that get us the year following and the year after that? You know, and actually have a plan to plan that expansion
Right.
for things like that. And why would we do that? It's the same reason we do all of our materials now. We buy a DVD because rather than somebody going to the store and spending $15 or even $5 on a DVD in the discount rack, they can come here and borrow it for free. And 20, 40 more people can borrow that same DVD over the next year because they want to see it. And they wanted to see it when it first came out. They didn't get a chance to. And they're here browsing through the library. And in terms of the computer software, yeah, you're right. It's there. It doesn't only have ProLogic on it or that. It'll have lots of different software on it, maybe, that people might need. Is it worthwhile spending $800 on the software to get 2 uses out of the year? We can decide that as we go.
Yeah.
But at least we would have the option
Right.
of doing that over time. So.
Well, we should plan a night. Sit down with
There you go.
with the computer to keep track of our discussion and try to chart something out. Try to come up with our requirements. Maybe a night where we get some of the people from the library to plead their
Mhm.
case. I don't know. We need to sit and talk and document.
So should we tell Paul that we're not going to proceed for a while while we do some dreaming, and while we watch what happens with the economy?
I think so.
I think Paul's plan, doing that as part of Paul's plan, would be beneficial if we can't do it ourselves, and especially if we do it ourselves and we
Let's do it.
can't get far,
See where
or
we
if
can
we
go with
actually
it.
have that as a basis before talking to Paul. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I think holding off on Paul's services for now would be good, and
I
as
think-
long as he didn't mind.
Well, I think
Doesn't matter.
As
primarily
long as
from
the,
from my
as long as
view,
the
Does
quote's
he-
not going to go up
Economy is the big thing,
$5,000
Would he want to be paid for
in 3 months.
services already rendered, like
No.
coming down here to meet with
We
you?
paid him
or-
for the last time he was here by
Okay.
the hour. That
Oh yeah.
which was not cheap right off the bat. It was $800
Right.
for
Wow.
the trip down. But that's it. We're
Okay.
you know.
Dare I mention setting a deadline for a needs assessment for your staff? Just to begin
Yeah,
your thought process?
I mean,
and
they'll
you can
probably
give
already
us
have it. I'll talk to them tomorrow.
the July meeting?
Sure. Definitely come up with something.
Does everybody agree, or am I
mean,
putting
if you-
Matt? Is it, say no?
No,
I mean, we
agree
can
with
do
you.
it. If it's sort of
I
wide
do.
open. It's as I say,
Yeah.
it got tricky when we were looking at certain buildings and we weren't sure which way we're going. If we're going to use that, well, I only want this. If we're going to go over there, then maybe we can. You know,
Yeah.
if we just leave it sort of open and ended, that shouldn't be.
I mean, just to
Yeah.
include with your packets, with the board packet, for the July meeting, this is even preliminary discussions.
Okay.
Each
Yeah.
department head, preliminary discussions of, what we envision our department to look like.
Yep, we can do that. And 2 things I wanted to mention that I just rang a bell as we were talking. I did check into that Albany thing. I never got back to you guys about that. It turns out just the branches do the bookstore. Got rid of Dewey Decimal System. Across the board in the branches, their circulation is up. The librarians don't like it, but the public does. Remember this came up when we were
right.
talking?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was thinking about that.
And I don't know where the
Right.
cutoff point is. They said that, you know, there's a certain point where the collection, it just becomes chaotic. There's just too much. And I couldn't get an exact number, but the central branch obviously is still Dewey Decimal. It's just that's just something else to think about as we're talking about this stuff. And your numbers, I did a very rough sample today after I did some research online. I couldn't come up with anything about the number of, you can have this if you
Times that
want.
a book is lent out.
Fiction, James Joyce, and you got to remember this number I'm about to give you. Horizon was we started using the system we have in 1995. Some of these books go back a lot longer, so that also makes it
Wow.
hard. But
Yeah.
so here from 1995, James Joyce's what was it? Finnegan's Wake or something. I think 43 times. I just pulled these randomly.
Finnegan's
Stephen King, Needful Things, was 44 times.
yeah,
John Updike, don't have the title here, but was 6 times, and when you look back to when it was actually popular in the 70s with the stamps, it was like 25 more times. All these books were in not perfect shape, but they were holding together.
So
We have books that
Updike
go back
novel.
40 years
Right.
on the shelves, and they're in decent shape.
Yeah. I mean, they're usable. You know. I mean, you can see that
So
they're.
some of them must have gone out 100 times.
Well, here's yeah. Again, because we're going from 1994 forward. Crichton, Terminal Man, 68 times.
Oh, okay. That's, I remember that
And that's
book.
just since
Fiction. What's
Secrets.
this? Chesterton, a collection of short stories.
what's
C.K.
that?
Chesterton.
Is it Butler?
20
Jeeves? Is that Jeeves?
It might be 23 times in that same. I went online to get you a better sample, you know, and I could find some academic libraries talking about it. But I also mentioned that I haven't kept up with the debate, but it seems that the tide is kind of turning. Some librarians are starting to embrace the HarperCollins, and I'll try to find some stuff to send to you as to why, just so you have it.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
But at first
in
it was like the screed of one after another against HarperCollins. We're going to boycott. We're going to do it, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, that's not such a bad idea actually. If I do my calculations right, So I'll let you know how that develops as it
Okay.
develops.
Any information.
But
The other thing I'd like to throw out into the mix is,
Oh, great. Oh, even better.
it's not much. But
how do we
Something.
get the public involved in a new library? You know, for us to begin to think, how do we maybe poll the public? You know, do we have a questionnaire that's either mailed or made available upstairs when they come for the patrons?
we could do
you know,
that. We've done that in the past.
yeah.
Well,
Was that done for the last building? I think you were on that committee.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Was that done?
Oh, yeah. There were nights where
Do you have
we
copies?
just. I have some. I might be
Okay.
able to pull
Or
them
even if
out.
just their questionnaire.
I don't know about questionnaires. Just we sat around and talked for the most part. We, you know.
Or the public was invited in to
Yeah.
talk?
Well, there were a lot of members
Okay.
on that committee from the public.
Okay. No, but just
Um,
like an informal, you know,
Mhm.
this is what the trustees are thinking about. We'd like public input, you know, put something out there, you know, maybe put it in the paper or have something through the computer. For us to
We've
talk
tried
about.
all this,
I
that's the
think-
problem.
I think we should
Short or long.
come up with what we envision the library would consist of, and then that be posted so people can read and understand and maybe see. Oh yes. Oh, and could we do this too? You
But
know,
are we
get
putting the
ideas
cart
from what
before
we.
the horse if we're 5 years out.
No, I don't think we're putting. No,
We're thinking, we can say that.
that's what
we can say, you
we're
know,
looking towards the future.
we're trying to
We're
set up a
trying to-
timeline. We're trying to set up a timeline. We're trying to set up, you know, goals and objectives, short terms, long term goals. And we want the public to be a part of that discussion. If you put it out there, it's up to them to, you know, will there always be naysayers? Yes.
But we don't want them thinking the same stuff they have in the past
Mhm.
20, 30 years.
100.
We want to be visionaries and provide them some direction, you know, some possibilities.
We could do
So-
that. We could, after we have all of our discussions with, you know, which probably will, you know, we'll begin preliminary discussions in July with your report and your staff's report, and then go from there. And we can look at a calendar and say, you know, by this date, let's have this done, or let's have this discussion happen by this date. That way we're always moving forward.
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming from.
I'm with you.
Come along?
Yep. I'm coming along for the ride.
Well, are any of you interested, I know certain parties not with us here tonight are not interested, but having RCLS at all help us out? I mean, that's part of what they do. I don't know, you wanna wait to invite
I'd like to
them?
wait. I like to, us sit down and come up and discuss these things.
Help us with what, though? Or like,
Well,
like help
just-
us out?
He,
I think just in putting things in the proper order, Robert Hupsher's book is all about how to eventually get a library built, but it starts, he has a fairly logical progression of what you should do and the order you should do it in, and how, he's a consultant outside of RCLS, and I think he has a pretty good record of having his projects go through. So he has a kind of science to it. I can get his book if
Can we check it out at the library?
Yeah. I think he has only one in the system. I wish he had made more available because we could all sort of.
Because that could inform our,
Yeah.
our,
I just think it would be
outline.
helpful to get someone who's been through the process
Yeah.
a bunch of times just to give their views on the way it.
but let's
and
start
we
with
can follow
you,
it or not, but
and then we go forward
Yeah,
from there.
it's the same discussion as with Paul. Yeah, we should start inside the building first, and,
Right.
and then we can look to getting information
Right.
from outside
right.
in terms of, you've done that wrong, or you've got to consider
That's
this.
fine.
because in a sense we're back to. When he was here that night, he sort of had a polite critique of our methodology, and I
remember
think we're
saying
back to square one where he said you should be to start
Right.
the whole thing.
That's
I
cool.
think we're at the place that he said you should start at.
Mhm.
Though, some things are done in parallel too.
Right.
So.
But I'll see if I can get, I think there may be free there may be another thing you can download for free from, but I'll look and see if
But
I
if
get
he
more
has
copies.
for example, a schematic, an outline
Yeah.
of this is where you should be starting, this is where your thought process should begin, and that would logically lead you to this, to this. Even if we just have that, like
Okay.
a one-page,
I'll
you know,
take a look.
roadmap. That's what I'm looking
Right.
for. A roadmap.
Anything else?
I'm good for the night.
So what did we learn? We're not going with Paul for now.
Right.
Putting it
We
on
should
hold.
tell Paul, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, put that on hold.
And we're
Maybe
not
he'll
moving
drop
forward
his
with the
price, but-
1887
Well, I
building
think we should,
either.
I think,
Huh?
what
We're
we're,
not moving with 1887. We're not.
I think,
But
the
we're
way I
not-
read people's comments is that
we're-
it seems like it's a possibility, but we're not
possibility.
gonna make a commitment. Because we can't,
I
but,
mean, it would cost money to make a commitment
right.
to do these studies.
But it looks like an
Cost.
interesting, viable
We're
possibility.
interested. And that's pretty open.
I don't know what it was.
Is that the rabbit?
I just wanna make sure I understand, the board has decided to postpone any job, done by Paul Mays at this time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pending our own internal
Studies.
Pending
Studies.
internal, assessment.
We're gonna what? Discuss
And to at least the July.
in July.
Mhm.
meeting. I have it on-
Well, I think
Mm.
we should table it. In other words, I don't wanna formally table it because then you bring it up again almost automatically. Let's just put it on hold, period. And when we
Okay.
wanna bring it back, we'll bring it
On
back.
hold.
'Cause I think in July, we're gonna be getting very preliminary stuff, and then we're gonna
Mhm.
get this roadmap.
Right.
And it may take the year, it may
Yeah.
take 18 months before we're actually in a position to spend some money.
And Matt will be in contact with Paul Mays.
Mhm. And there's no doubt about it. This is particularly the flux. Everything's in flux. It's very
Yep.
difficult. It's like a moving target, you know.
Well,
I mean, it's frustrating because there are times I have to say I just don't know how. I mean, I've been dedicated to libraries how many years now? And I just
the whole industry is in
exactly.
flux.
I sit there. I mean, I feel like flummoxed. I don't know, which way it's going to go. And it's so here, and you guys. Thank heavens we have the help, but you're lay people from outside the library world, which often is good because you have but it's just, it must be mind-boggling to you too. Like what's a library going to look like? What are you going?
Well,
What are your
publishing itself. Actually, I got wind of at Penguin of a new site that I forget the company that's going to manage it, but it's a consortium
Mhm.
of publishers and other people in the industry called Bookish. I don't know what you'll find on it, but Bookish. It'll be bookish.com, in which they're going to try and provide more content around a book and provide a place for people to talk about books and maybe purchase books, and it's sort of
Sounds good.
it's they're trying to rethink the whole industry.
It's interesting you say that
And,
because
uh,
Michelle came to me with, she was hoping to maybe get some money from the Friends for something, these children's books that now have come out that somehow,
For
I think-
iPad.
no, they're
Uh.
regular physical codices, but they have all of this, they somehow, and it's not just a list of URLs, it's somehow there's an online site that's, I don't quite understand, I was trying to listen, but I was doing 5 things, but somehow you use them with the internet, they have some, and it may be that kind of thing where there's discussions of some sort, or it's integrated, trying to integrate the actual physical book with the website and the games and something else, it's all about literacy, for early learning.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I guess there's a lot of, you brought up this, Bernard, the Friegel,
Mm-hmm.
which it's funny, just last week I was reading The Librarian in Black, her name is, if you want to read a witty librarian who's sort of rather pungent in her critique of the world as it is, it's not very positive, but she's funny. But she was going on about that because she actually had a bad time with Friegel. What they do is that the library buys a certain amount of MP3s, and some of our libraries in RCLS already do this. And then with one's patron's library card, you log into their site and you're able to download three MP3s a month. 3 MP3s a month, 3 MP3s a week, 3 MP3s a week, and I don't know all of the details. Well, there are 2 price plans. One is just wide open, and it's fairly expensive. They said for a moderately sized city library, it was $100,000 for the Friegel. And this woman was ranting about the fact that it's totally changing what libraries do. It used to be you would be sharing the information. Now you're basically purchasing the information, which then your patron comes to you and uses their card to buy it, essentially, for free. They're buying it with the library's money. But be that as it may, then there are all these comments afterwards of people loving it. There's like 15 or 20 comments in a row about how this is the greatest thing. Our patrons love it. The library loves it. Everyone's happy. So it's another battle raging. And it's another, I guess I bring it up because it's another one of these paradigm shift things where people are trying to figure out how, of course, publishers, all they care about is the dollar, which makes sense. That's what they're in business to make money.
Well, the product too.
Right. Right. Selling the product to make some profit. And the library is supposed to be here to be, as nobler goals, I guess you could say, to universality of access, these kinds of things. And suddenly, there's this. It's like the earth has just moved a little bit, and no one quite knows how to deal with it. And many of the publishers, hopefully Penguin is not among them, but it's gonna are not going to make it easy for libraries because they don't stand to gain by the old-fashioned modes of doing business. So
Kindle has announced that
I
they're
saw
going
that.
to
right.
allow you to download library books. They haven't explained it yet exactly how or when, but that's in the offing.
So you'll be able to take your Kindle basically in anything we have through Overdrive, because up to this point you had to use your computer screen. You had a regular couldn't. There's only certain things you could download it to, and everyone would come in here with a Kindle saying, "Why can't I get these?" Well, Amazon won't allow you to open those files, but now they'll allow you to. So who knows?
Lots to think about.
It sure is.
Do we need to go into executive session?
No.
Nope.
Ellen Mary has the Sunshine Fund. She's in charge of that. We need to send Frank something.
Yeah, I was gonna mention it, but she's not here, so.
Okay. Should some flowers or something or something?
The book.
Okay.
Are you talking with her?
I can
Robert
email her.
Hoffer's book.
Is that okay there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
okay, sure.
Yes.
I hope he's doing well.
So you hear that?
The Sunshine Committee for the board is gonna send Frank a little get well flower.
For edible arrangement.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Jim, Norma and Jim, 9:35.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Damn. Well, things have been long.
Want these folders?
Yeah.